co-host, Brother Benjamin Shabazz.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. So today we have something that I think is very dear to a lot of people, the observance of 1619 in Ghana. And this wonderful lady had a chance to go. So before we get into that, just tell us just a little about yourself, your things that you've done in life and your career and stuff like that, so the audience will just kind of know who you are. I know who you are. You're a good person. Always have been.
Okay. So, again, my name is Juanita Galloway, and I was born and raised in Seattle, grew up in the Central area, went to public schools and then a few years in Catholic school. That's where I met Naeem, and went to college and got a degree in education, elementary and special ed, and taught in Seattle Public Schools for 30-something years, on and off around my 4 sons, who are now adults. And so I have been a teacher. I am now retired. A community activist is what I like to call myself.
All right, very good. Very good. Well, we have these pictures that you took when you were there, and we would just like to get right into the program, and you just tell the story as they come up and add anything you like. So let's just start with the first picture, and we will just go from there. And audience, you're in for a treat. So tell us about this picture.
This is at the Kotoka Airport in Accra, Ghana, and as we disembarked and got through customs, there were dancers and drummers greeting us and welcoming us. There was a group of 250 of us who left Washington, D.C. in a group with the NAACP, a group called the Adinkra Group. And yes, so it was very nice. We felt very welcome after a 9-hour flight from Washington, D.C.
Okay, wow, wow.
2 meals on the plane, though, was nice.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right, so this picture here, if you can see it okay, tell us about this picture, where it was and what was going on here.
Okay, so we all met in Washington, D.C., and before we took the plane to Accra, Ghana, we took a little field trip to Jamestown, Virginia. And this was in Jamestown, where the first enslaved Africans, as they say in the log book, 20-odd Africans. They didn't even bother to count exactly, but that's what it says in the book, 20-odd Africans were brought to the shores of Jamestown, Virginia in 1619, in August, so it was almost exactly 400 years.
Almost exactly 400 years, okay.
To 2019, yeah.
Okay. So how many were in that group there about?
Pretty close to 250.
250.
It took us about 5-6 buses usually to travel.
To travel, okay. All righty. Okay, so let's go to the next slide there.
And so one of the things that we did after walking around Jamestown a little bit was to write messages to our ancestors and then to burn them in that flame as a kind of an offering. And my message was just something like, and I thank my ancestors for their strength,
Okay. Yeah. So would that be something like what people do for a mafa?
Yes.
Okay.
Similar.
Similar to that. Okay. Because I know when we went to New Orleans, we did a show on that, where we went on a tour and we saw where the different slave quarters were, where people were chained, and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we ended up at the river. I guess that's the Mississippi. Yeah, Mississippi River, if I recall. I could be wrong. And then we. People said, prayers, they said whatever came into their heart, and then we toss something into the water for remembering our ancestors.
You know, yeah, a lot of us believe that our ancestors are still with us, you know, in our souls, you know, and that was something that was very meaningful on the trip was knowing that probably our ancestors, through the toil of the voyage and slavery, put up with some things, hoping that their descendants would have a better life.
Okay.
You know, and after going through the door of no return and the months on the ships and all that, not knowing whether any of their descendants, whether they would even come back. You know, they didn't know if they were coming back.
Right.
They didn't really know where they were going.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very traumatic.
Very traumatic, yeah.
Brother Benjamin, you have any questions so far on that?
Yes, you spoke of the door of no return. Could you comment on that a little bit?
Well, there will be some photos
There'll be
about
photos?
that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
sure.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah, I'll be glad to.
we'll wait till we get to that
Okay.
photo. Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go to the next picture then. Oh, who's that?
That was me getting ready to board South African Airlines, and our group, we called it the Soul Plane because
Oh no! I hope not. I hope not like the movie, because that was horrible.
no, but
The real soul.
the Soul Plane, because most of us, you know, we met in Washington D.C. from all over the United States and from other countries in the diaspora, Jamaica, the Bahamas. So we met in Washington D.C. and we took up most of the South African Airlines jet
Oh,
plane.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Flew overnight,
Okay.
got on about 9 o'clock in the evening and landed at it was 6 o'clock in the morning their time. Of course, there was, you know, time difference,
Time
of course,
difference.
too, but yeah.
So it takes about what, 9 hours?
About
from,
9.
So this was from
9.5
Washington
hours.
D.C.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
9 hours. Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm glad you guys had the good soul plane, not that from that movie. That was.
Well, yeah, and it was, and I thought it was very nice. We got 2 meals. We got breakfast, and then we got dinner on the plane.
That's good.
Where, you know, our planes, Southwest Airlines and other airplanes, you
Can't
know,
get nothing.
domestic planes do not give us anything.
You know, you'd get some water, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. All
Right.
right. So tell us about this picture.
So that is the Accra Tourist Center, and that was the first place the buses took us to welcome us, and so they had a meal for us, and the president of Accra, the president of Ghana was there.
Okay.
I mean, because his palace is right there in Accra. Yeah, can you imagine the president coming just to meet our group?
Air group. Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a homecoming.
It is quite a homecoming,
Yeah,
yes.
that is.
And they played music and they did dances, and yeah, those were some of the sisters. I believe they're princesses. There are quite a few women who they call princesses because there's little districts. I forgot the particular name, but you know, there's a official princess for each one.
Okay. All right. So I see so far a lot of people are in white. Is that a particular reason that the people who greeted you, the previous picture, they were in white, and then the princesses here, they were in white? Is there any particular reason, or is it just?
You know what? There's symbolism, I'm sure, behind the white. I know when we went to Cape Coast Castle, we were all asked to wear white. You know, we were told before the trip to bring all white.
Something white. Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether it's maybe a mixture of joy and also a bit of sorrow. I mean, they were welcoming us back, and it's a mixture. It's bittersweet,
Right.
you know, because they
Right.
know that we were taken, and now we returned.
You return. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so now we're in the colors now.
Yeah. So just more at the tourist center.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So now these, I ask this question just because of the time we live in. Are those authentic garments? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
and our people there made them. The people of Ghana made them, and you know what I'm saying?
oh, they're definitely authentic.
Okay.
Sure, they were made in, but I think, and I didn't see all of Accra even, so I cannot speak in general for Ghana, but a few of the people still dress in traditional dress,
Gotcha.
and for ceremonies like this, they do.
They do.
But I think the majority of the people that I saw dressed in Western clothing like we do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I mean, it was just lovely to see.
See, but I'm just asking because I hope we still make it and it's not made in China. That's
Oh no, because actually we went to a kente factory too,
There
a
you-
textile factory, and
okay.
saw the
saw
kente
the real
made
thing.
too. Right,
Okay.
right.
Well, that's good to hear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good to hear. All right, let's go on to the next one there. And the people, yeah, they looked. So we'll go to the next photo there. So were you warmly treated the whole trip?
Absolutely.
You said absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well there you go, right on point. The year of return, Ghana 2019.
And that's the same
Yeah,
symbol here on the shirt that
on
I
your
got.
shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. Celebrating 400 years of African resiliency. Yes, let's go Ghana. That's nice. That is really nice.
There have been a lot of groups that have gone back to Ghana. Ghana's really welcoming the diaspora this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's nice. That is nice. All right.
Just enjoyed it so much.
Let's go to the next one.
This is at the Action Chapel, which is right outside of Accra. They had a welcoming ceremony. I mean, the chapel is a big church, a very big church, but they put on a dance and dinner, a gala for us, basically. Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of us, it was the same day that we landed. Okay, and right off the plane, we went to the tourist center. You saw that.
Right.
And then this was in the evening, and they said, okay, this evening there's going to be a church service and dinner. And a lot of us were thinking, we are so tired. We're not sure we want to go to a church service. It'll probably just be a potluck dinner.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was.
They had it laid out for you.
Oh yes, and top-notch entertainment. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's all right. Okay, well,
Treated us so well.
that's good. Let's go to the next photo there. And I know now who are these sisters here?
Well, so this was another gala that they put on like 2 days later, and so we had been told that this would be an occasion to wear a black tie and also African garb. So there I am. You can tell which one I am.
Yeah.
And that was my roommate in the middle, and she is a teacher from Virginia, and we still communicate. I had never met her before, but they paired me up with her, and we're close in age, and we're just best friends now. But and then another gal, so.
Oh, that's good.
That was another just big dinner. I mean, formal dinner, dancing. Just
wow.
They just really put on a huge welcoming ceremony for us.
So, now your group, did you go with the NAACP?
It was NAACP, and it was led by a group called the Adinkra Group, which is in Washington, D.C. Diallo Sumbri is I guess you might say, president, CEO, and he's also kind of a representative, you might say ambassador from Ghana to the U.S.
Okay.
And he's been back and forth like 5 years. And so he arranged all the details of the trip. Everything was just perfect. And all the side trips. Everything was just flawless.
Wow, I
Yeah.
should have gone.
You really should have.
I should have gone.
You really,
And
it was a trip of a
and
lifetime.
On that note, before we get to this picture, so what kind of, you know how you, before you go on a trip to different countries, you got to get certain kind of shots and stuff. So did they tell you what kind to get, or did you have to go like to the health department and to find out what to get and how soon before you had to get them and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, well, they told us that we had to get, let's see.
Like
which
yellow
one was
fever?
it? The yellow fever,
Mhm.
okay. But I called the travel doctor, and they said, well, you have to make an appointment. And so when I went in, it turned out that she looked on the CDC website,
Okay.
and over 65 years old, they do not recommend taking smallpox
Oh,
because it's, what is the word, contraindications. Some people older than 65 have actually gotten the smallpox in higher numbers than you would if you hadn't been
Hadn't taken
immunized.
it. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and so that was kind of a general warning that they had given everybody before the going on the trip. And most of the people were younger, although there were some in their 70s and 80s.
Wow, really? Wow.
The oldest woman was 88.
Hmm.
So yeah, and then I found out I had to get Hep A and Hep B. And,
All that stuff, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, well that's, yeah, well.
and the malaria pills. Yeah, but that's okay.
That's okay.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
You know.
To see it. So tell us about this picture. I see Jamestown on your thing.
Right. So they gave us those shawls at the Black Tie Gala, and yeah,
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I don't have not in this picture, but there is a picture. Danny Glover was with us the whole trip, and he
okay.
was at this
Wow.
dinner, and I think I may have a picture on here.
Yeah,
of
I think
him.
there is somewhere on a picture.
Right.
Because I said, oh, I know that face.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
right. He's a real activist, and
Oh,
but
yeah.
he's very humble.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. We had him in Seattle for the 50th anniversary of the Seattle
Yes, he
chapter.
came.
the
I
Black
remember
Panther
that.
Party.
Yes, he came. Yeah.
Yeah, he was right on point. Okay, so this looks like, oh man, this is a beautiful picture here.
So this was a smaller group. You know,
Okay.
the picture that you saw before was almost the entire group of us
Yeah.
in Jamestown, but this is after a lunch in, I think maybe Kumasi. It was so from Accra to the Cape Coast, where the dungeons are, is like a 5-hour trip. And so we stopped on the way and had a beautiful lunch. As always, they just laid out all the delicious Ghanaian food. And
So the food spicy or not so spicy? Not too spicy?
varying degrees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I like spice, so I enjoyed it.
You were right at home.
Yes,
There you go.
right.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
I took some pictures of some of the food. There's some food that I had never seen before, but it was all delicious, you know. And no, I
That's
didn't
good.
have any trouble with my stomach at all.
Okay, well, very good. All right, we got about.
So is one of those brothers in there Danny Glover?
No, he's
I
not.
don't think he's in that
he's
picture.
not in that picture. No.
Oh, okay.
If you see a person whose face is turned that way with red hair, she may be looking at Danny Glover. Yeah,
right.
that would be me.
That would be, that would be you.
That would be
you,
me.
There you go. There you go. Now, what did we have? Is this cocoa
So,
beans?
Exactly. This is at the cocoa farm,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the first cocoa farm in Ghana, and the first beans were brought over from Equatorial Guinea and planted there. This is one of the farms. Everything is done by hand. It's not done by machines, and they let us taste. They cut open the cocoa beans. You can see the yellow ones. They cut
Right.
open, and inside the cocoa bean is actually white and it's soft, and it tastes like mango.
Really?
Interestingly enough, but then see the green leaf you can kind of see in the back of the picture.
Right.
What they do is they they put those leaves on top of the raw cocoa beans, and they leave it there for like 3 days and let it cure. And it's just they showed the whole process, and of course cocoa is the #1 export now from Ghana. But unfortunately, the Ghanaian people are only getting like 3% of the profits.
3%? Wow.
So
That's another story, I would
other
imagine.
cocoa companies are making good profit off of that.
I bet.
I don't know. Maybe their business acumen needs to mature. I would say. I mean, they're smart people. They're making delicious chocolate, but they're being taken advantage
Taken
of.
advantage of.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. I've seen this before.
Okay, so that's called that's at Black Star Square, and you may have seen that actually when President Obama went there a few years ago, they had the welcoming ceremony there at Independence Square, and I had some other pictures, but I didn't send them to you, of different colorful benches on the side, and you would look and you'd see people, even during the daytime, maybe 10, 20 different people just laying on the benches, and I thought, well, are they homeless? And the guide told us, well, no, when they get to be a certain age, if they're not working, they're told to just leave the house. And so sometimes, if they can't find a job, they're just resting.
Just resting. Wow. Oh,
Don't come back till you find a
Okay.
job.
oh wow. Now these are older people or just any ages?
Young people.
Young people.
Young people,
Oh.
but out of high school. But
Okay. Go there
Yeah,
until you find a
get a
job.
job.
Get a job. Okay. All right.
So there's like couch surfing, but they're on the benches.
On the bench serving.
Yeah,
Okay.
bench surfing. Exactly.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Okay, let's go to the next one there. So about how many pictures did you take? What, 200?
It was something like that.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not going to show all of them.
I could not show them. Now this is just from the window of my hotel, the Accra City Hotel. There were 4 different choices of hotels to stay in that we got to select before we went, and this was not the highest cost one. This was the most inexpensive one,
Okay.
but it was nice. It wasn't plush like some of the others that I saw. They have some, but you can see the, lots of things going on in the city. It's very busy,
Right.
Lots of commerce going on, lots of different vehicles, from bicycles to motorcycles to taxis to vans. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so Brother Benjamin, you have,
I'm just kind of fascinated by all this scenery.
yeah,
It's beautiful.
it's amazing.
And actually, people say, was it hot there? Actually, it wasn't as hot as it was in Washington, D.C.
Really?
Really hot in D.C.
Wow, yeah, I know it gets hot in D.C., but it was hotter in D.C. than it was? Was it a different kind of heat?
It
or-
was a different kind of heat.
Okay.
Maybe that was
muggy-
it.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
muggy, wet.
D.C. Yeah, right. Yeah. No,
yeah.
that was
You
comfortable.
take a shower, you go outside, said, oh man, I gotta take another shower.
There you go.
That kind of
Yes.
thing.
So-
Okay, so this is, this looks like, what does she have on
You know
her
what?
head? Look like
It-
chickens.
She is carrying live chickens, and this is how a lot of people sell their goods. It just happened to see her, but in some of the other pictures I took, they would be carrying on their heads anything from soap detergent to radios to peanuts to cookies, bread, and the traffic is really heavy. And they would walk in between the cars and they'd sell,
Sell stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so along the way you don't have to stop, and if you're hungry, they're like water. They'd be carrying a water on their heads. Okay, I'll take a water. I'm stuck in traffic.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing. I mean, you have to really be hustling, I would imagine there.
They do. Oh,
Yeah.
and you know what I was thinking one of the times that we were coming back from a trip in the evening. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And you would see young girls out there, maybe 13, 14-year-old girls, walking by themselves with something on their head
wow.
selling.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I asked the tour guide, I said, is that safe for them? And, you know, they said nobody would bother them because that's their business. They respect them. You know,
Wow, that's
but
amazing.
you wouldn't send your daughter out in the street at night with money.
Oh,
and,
no.
Oh, I don't think
no,
so.
not
No, not here.
Not in America.
No.
So we have about a little less than, we got about a little less than 2 minutes. So let's just kind of
Skim through them. Oh, here's
No,
the,
no, we don't have to show any more. Let's just kind of wrap it up for this. Well, let's talk about this one. Yeah, we have time for this one. Yeah.
This is the Cape Coast Castle.
Okay.
And this is where the dungeons are, the cells are underneath. And this was built by the Portuguese for the gold trade. And then when they found out that that they could bring Africans and do the work on the plantations, and they had showed us, we went through, there were male dungeons, there were female dungeons, and in a cell, maybe 20 by 20, there were maybe up to 300 people kept. And up above, those are where the Portuguese, then the Dutch, then the French, then the British, the governors and everything, they lived upstairs and their chapel was upstairs.
Oh, their chapel was upstairs.
Yes, they're up there praying above the cells.
Ah, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's something.
Yeah, so I tell you, we could do a program. Well, we've done programs on that whole issue. Yeah, that is amazing. Now, this is where the point of no return is, or that's another place?
No, yes,
It's
it is
here,
there.
it's just
Yes,
there. That's
yes.
where it's here.
There's
Okay.
one of the exit doors that would go to the gangplank that would take the Africans to the ships.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We'll try to do, if we get a chance to do a part 2 of this. We thank our audience. Juanita Galloway, we thank you so much. Audience, thank you for listening. Peace.
My pleasure.
See you
Thank
next
you.
time.